And you can check them at 3 months, check them at 4 months. That way you can see how they develop. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Learn how your rabbits develop, because especially if you line breed, you can make assumptions based on past experience with how your herd goes.
Thank you guys all for coming to the Michigan State 4-H Rabbit and Cavy Show. As part of the event, we have the Rabbit School, and I'm excited to have a bunch of great speakers here presenting. The first one being Greg Michaels. Greg is a nationally known breeder, having done extremely well with Polish and having won at the national level. And I'm excited to hear how he goes through and looks at litters and decides which ones to keep.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. So first off, we're going to start, how do we know what to keep in a litter? Selection of future breeding and show stock from a litter at weaning age of 8 weeks, okay? First off, you need to know the standard. Know the areas of your breed that has the most points, know the correct type. Color, fur, head features. What are the highlighted feature characteristics of your breed? Like mine is, the head, eye, and ear. There's 45 points right there. We want to make sure that we're always paying attention to that kind of stuff. What are the weak areas or faults of your breed? The Polish breed, like in general, are known for pinched lower hindquarters and ears kind of being laid back, and they're really not supposed to be. It should be like more straight up and together. What characteristics need improvement? Keep that in mind. What are disqualifications specific for your breed? Like my breed, ears over 3 inches, disqualification. And you always want to make sure that you're checking for all general disqualifications also. Weaning and checking for disqualification. So I wean kits around 8 weeks of age. I always get them out, check for general and breed-specific disqualifications. If possible, give each rabbit its own cage. I know this always isn't possible. I know a lot of breeders take a whole litter and they put them in the same cage for another couple weeks until they can evaluate. If that's what you have to do, that's fine. I've just found that if I can get them in a single cage by themselves, they acclimate a little bit better, and they're more calm and stuff when I go to pose them up and evaluate them. And again, make sure that the rabbits are calm and properly posed so you can give them a fair evaluation. A lot of times they want to scrunch up their shoulders, they want to lean forward, they want to fight you. Just keep working with them, be patient, give it time until you can get them to properly pose. All right, evaluation time at 8 weeks. So pose each rabbit and evaluate them to the standard. At this age, the most important characteristics to evaluate is body type, ear placement, and balance. Now that's breed specific for me, just so everybody knows whatever the special breed characteristics are for your breed, that's what you need to worry about. And also, this process that I'm going over with you guys right now works for any breed, okay? This isn't just breed specific to Polish, this works for any breed, okay? So keep that in mind. Head and ears should have balance with the body. Check for the more serious faults, such as scissored ears or incorrect placement on the head, lack of fullness over the loins, protruding hips, pinched or undercut hindquarters. Check to see if the rabbit has good depth of body over the hindquarters and width to match. We want that balance, okay? Even at 2 months old, you can see this. So you want that depth to equal the width. Let's see. Check to see if the rabbit has good depth of body over the hindquarters and width to match. Nice roundness over the hips and hindquarters, and that the high point is positioned properly over the hips. Look and see if the rabbit is balanced throughout the whole body. See if all parts fit and flow well together. Ask yourself, does the rabbit look pleasing to your eye? Okay, that's all about balance. Okay? And then a note, at 8 weeks, how your rabbit looks is a miniature of what it will be at 5 months of age, okay? If your rabbit looks good and has nice type, it will 90% of the time come back and look the same at 5 months after the teenage growth stage that they go through at 3 to 5 months, okay? We have followed this process for years, 50 years, starting with my dad and he taught our whole family how to do the same thing, and it's worked very, very well. Now, I say 90% of the time because sometimes that one that looks good, usually, if I have one that's I'm not going to keep, it's because it went too big, okay? It's because it got a little bit sloppy, a little bit longer in body. But usually, they come back and they look the same at 5 months as they did at 2 months. Okay, so now we're going to start going through some rabbits. I evaluated 6 rabbits for you guys. So buck A, side profile. This buck is long, slightly low in the shoulders. High point is too far forward. Lacks depth of body, slides off the back end, and also lacks the compact body and has longer ears, okay? And the top view, it's long in the midsection and lacks fullness in the loin area. You can see here, obviously he's very long. That is not a good breed type for Polish. And then the midsection, you can see that he starts in the shoulders and then comes in, okay? He comes in a little bit too much. There should be more of an even taper right there. And then you can see here, he's very weak in that loin area. The high points here makes him slide off. All right, second buck. Side profile this one. He's got good depth and he's got good width of body. High point is slightly forward. Shoulders slightly low with a late start. Top view, lacks fullness in the loin area over the hips, slightly narrow in the midsection, lacks some fullness in the lower hindquarters. You can see this here. He's also, you can kind of see he's weak in the hip area. He needs more width and roundness coming over the sides. And you can see he kind of comes in, so he lacks that fullness in the lower hindquarters. And then he's got that late start in the shoulder area. All right, so the next one is doe A. Her side profile, she overall looks good, but she's slightly petite. She's a little small even at this age. The high point is slightly forward, also keeps her ears down. It's not in the proper position. Lacks some fullness in the loin area and also in the lower hindquarters. As you can see, again, lacks a little bit of fullness. She comes in, and like I said, her ear placement is back too far. Now, doe C, good depth, good width, good head shape. Ears are still a bit back on the head. Peaks too far forward, causing her to slide off the hindquarters. You got that high point that comes up, and you can see she wants to slide off the back instead of having the high point placed properly and then round over the edge. She does have good taper of body throughout, and she has nice fullness and roundness in the lower hindquarters. All right, buck C. So he's got good depth and width of the body. He's got a nice shoulder starting off from right behind the ears, and he's balanced throughout. Got a nice placement of the ears, good shape to the head, balances well with the body. As you can see, he's got a good taper, but slightly could be a little bit fuller at the bottom, a little bit rounder. And then doe B, very nice, smooth, high point correctly placed. She's well balanced. Her ears are set where they're supposed to be, and it balances well with her body. Good taper from shoulder to hips, nice width throughout. Lacks just a slight bit of fullness at the bottom, but she's fairly round, but she's very well balanced. Okay, so after you've looked through them, okay, so now we got to place them. Let's evaluate them. All right, so 6th place would have been buck A. He lacked balance. He was way too long in body, not good breed type, longer in the ear, lacks depth. 5th place would have been buck B. Lacked fullness over the hip area, lower hindquarters, shoulders. 4th place would have been the petite doe, doe A. She shows a better balance and length of body, but is a bit petite, lacks fullness in the loin area. Her ears are set back. 3rd place, doe C. Her high point was a bit forward, but she slid off the back end, and her ear placement was slightly back. 2nd place is buck C. He was slightly longer in body and lacks a bit of depth compared to the 1st place animal. Good head shape and ear placement, overall a good rabbit. And doe B, the blue doe, was well balanced throughout with good depth and width of body, with good head shape, overall ear placement. Slightly lacked a little bit of fullness in the lower hindquarter, but overall she was a nice and balanced rabbit. So at 2 months old, you can do, like I said, what they look like at 2 months, they're going to look like at 5 months. So these rabbits will probably come back. They will just be bigger and more developed, but they will still have the same faults. All right, so who stays and who goes? All right, so the 6th place buck would be called for, he doesn't have good breed type, way too long in the shoulder, just would not stay. He would not help me at all. 5th place buck, okay, would also be called. Also, too many faults to do well on the show table or contribute to your herd. Remember, when you're making these evaluations, for whatever your purpose is, whether it's for show, for breeding stock, you want to keep the best that you can to keep your breed going forward, your herd going forward. 4th place doe, A, would also be called. She has incorrect placement of ears and is too small and petite to show or to brood well when mature. A small doe, just in my opinion, has never been a good brood animal. They don't carry babies well, and they could have some birthing problems. And with her ear placement being, she holds them down and her ears are set a little bit farther back on her head, that would not help me at all. Would not be good, so she'd be called. 3rd place doe can stay for future evaluation. Her main issue was she was peaked just a little far forward and she just slid off the back end. But when she matures, she could be nice enough, a show rabbit, and may benefit someone else. I would hold her for evaluation for another month or 2 to see how she progressed, and then make my decision then. 2nd place buck, C, he would stay. He would be on the show table. I would use him as a show prospect. If he matures well enough, he may also be kept as a herd buck if he's better than one that I already have. I never keep a herd buck unless they're better than their parent, okay? You always want to progress forward. So you want to keep a buck that is the best that you can. 1st place, doe B, she would be kept for the show table, and if she was needed in the breeding herd, would be added after her show career, okay? So more info on what determines show, brood, or call. Never keep rabbits with major faults. They will haunt you for generations. Whatever faults you allow yourself to keep will always be present in your herd. I mean, this is so true. If you have low shoulders and several of your animals have low shoulders, then you will just always have low shoulders come out somewhere. Pinched, weak loins. Always take an animal with a weak point. If it's a weak shoulder, make sure that you breed it to something that has a good shoulder, okay? That way, hopefully, the offspring that comes out is better balanced and makes you a better rabbit. General rule, keep your top 2 to 3 rabbits from the litter that fit the standard best back for future evaluation. These will be your show and brood stock. This isn't always the 2 or 3, this is a general rule. Sometimes it's only 1 in the litter that you want to keep, okay? Sometimes it's the whole litter. Just depends on the cross, how well it worked. You want to keep rabbits that you believe are going to be as close to ideal weight as possible when mature. They will show better and be better brood animals. If you can keep animals that are closer to your ideal weight, they will always do better, okay? They will always breed better. They will show better. If you get to the bottom side, all right, especially with does, they have a lot of issues. They could have issues with birthing and carrying babies. But you want them at least ideal weight. Like I said, they will always show better and do better. No, keep the best balanced and nicest types bucks that you can with good head features. They influence your whole herd. Keep brood does that are at least ideal weight or above. Also are balanced but a bit longer in body. They carry the kits better and have fewer birthing issues. What is the difference between a show prospect and a brood prospect? All right, your show prospects. Bucks and does. They have a shorter body, better balance in depth and width, fitting the standard better as a show rabbit when they mature, looking for the best type and head features per the standard. As you can see, this one is like nice and short. She's got good depth. She's got good ear placement. This doe also is decent, but she's just a little bit longer, okay? She's going to carry babies better. The brood doe prospect, the body is slightly longer, bigger, but still with good basic type and side profile. This type can carry kits with less birthing issues. And the brood buck, same as the show prospect. You're looking for the best future buck per the standard for your herd. Like I said, that buck's going to go across all the does in your herd. The doe is only going to get bred by 1 buck. So I always keep the best bucks I can. And in summary, know your standard for the breed. Very important. Check for all disqualifications, general and breed specific. Make sure that the rabbit is calm and posed properly for a fair evaluation. Evaluate each rabbit looking for major faults. Look for rabbits with balance and that's pleasing to your eye. Show, brood, and sale stock come from the top 1 to 3 animals. Never sell anything with disqualifications or multiple major faults. Send to the call buyer. Like I said, don't keep the faults, the major ones. What your rabbit looks like at 8 weeks is most likely what it will look like at 5 months, just bigger and more developed. Practice evaluating often. Learn how your herd develops to make decisions easier at 8 weeks and older, especially when you're starting out. When you're starting out with new animals, anytime I bring a new line into the barn, I line breed, so all the animals in my barn are related, okay? They all go back to the same buck from 2016. But any does that I bring, I always introduce with a doe. So any does that you want to bring in, all right, so test mate her, test her to your bucks, let that litter grow out, okay? Unless there's obvious disqualifications and stuff. See how they develop. See how they develop compared to the rest of your herd, okay? That will give you time to look and see how they're going to develop. They might look good at 2 months and then at 5 months, absolutely not. Or they might look, fair at 2 months and then at 5 months really come into their own. You just got to kind of know how they grow and develop, and that will help you out. So that's the biggest thing. Just test them out, and then once you know how your herd will develop and grow out, then you can make decisions much easier and not keep a bunch of rabbits in your barn that you really don't need, because it just takes up feed and space. So is there any questions? Yeah. Yep.
So are you saying that for like if you had a ton of nice rabbits, you don't want to inbreeding a lot, so that you probably want to very nice?
Well, what I'm saying is keeping the best 2 to 3 per litter. Like I said, it could be just one, it could be none. But what I'm saying is that you keep the best 2 to 3 for evaluation, whether you want it for show or for brood stock. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So if they're good, keep them back and hold them on until 5 months. And you can check them at 3 months, check them at 4 months. That way you can see how they develop. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Learn how your rabbits develop, because especially if you line breed, you can make assumptions based on past experience with how your herd goes. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. Taper? Okay, she asked what I was talking about when I said taper. Taper in the body, when you're looking over top, is this V shape right there over top, okay? You want it to be nice and evenly tapered, all right? So like, she starts out good and she's even all the way up. So if she started out good here and then went in slightly and then come back out, okay, then she would be weak in the midsection. She'd be narrow in the midsection. But that's what I'm talking about with taper. It's the side profile, all right, along the side. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much for having me.